Thank you for tuning in to MacroView Television, and this is the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. I remember back in the year 2000, the cable news network had identified Taiwan Strait, the Korean Peninsula, and Pakistan and India, the India Peninsula area, as the three hotspots around the world. But with improved relations between China and Taiwan, Taiwan Strait is no longer considered a hotspot around the world. What then are some of the other trouble regions in the world? On that subject, we're delighted to continue our program today with a very special guest and very good friend of mine, Professor Wang Kaocheng, who's professor and director of the Graduate Institute of Strategic Studies at the Tamkang University. Kaocheng, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, we're going to start off the program, Kaocheng, by concentrating on the Middle East, specifically in Iran. We understand that a few weeks ago it had the presidential election, but the situation in Iran has really deteriorated very fast. Now it's erupted into violence. The current president, claiming that he had a 2-to-1 majority in the election, continue to claim that he's the victor of the election. But the opposition, the challenger, Mr. Mousavi, who's claiming that the election was rigged. And we understand the reaction around the world are very different. The Europeans and also the Americans have conveyed their concern about a further investigation into how the election was conducted. What do you think the situation in Iran would develop in the coming weeks ahead?
I think it is an amazing situation there.
Yes.
Because from our impression that Iran is fully controlled by the ruling parties, but so far we have seen a very violent contest between the two campaign camps, and the election result is not accepted by the losing side. And they have aroused a large protest in Iran. It was reported that the millions of people went on the street to protest against the election. So, so far we have seen some bloody conflict, and the losing side leader Mousavi, as far as I know, has already asked for his supporter to be calmed, but continue to put pressure on the government. And Iran's highest leader group maybe decided to evaluate the situation, the electoral result, to see what where the final result can be officially accepted. So I think the situation is still remain tense there.
Yeah, and it's still very much unsettled.
Yes.
Yes. We understand that since President Barack Obama took over the office almost 6 months ago now, that he has wanted to push ahead with a new policy towards Middle East. Of course, Iran being a very important part of that new policy. What do you think the new security policy under President Obama will react to the situation that's developing in Iran?
Yeah, we have seen that Obama already have some talk on this situation. He expressed his concern about the new development, and he said that the United States seems already very much look upon the democracy, the freedom of speech, the freedom of election, fair elections. So they are continuing to watch out those situations. And so far he just expressed his hope that this election can be fair and can be officially to be examined whether it's fair or not. But at the other time, I observed that Obama also be very cautious. He doesn't want to be very clear to say what is the real result of this election. He just wants to impress that need to be fair and to be conducted by official authority to prove that it has been done that without against most people's will. But I think he still remains very cautious not to be obviously to say whether it's a true or not true elections. I think he also is worried that if he show his opinions too fast, too early, and if that the ruling party finally proved to be can be able to control all the situations, and he will lose another opportunity to improve relation with the second-term Ahmadinejad.
Okay, and let me ask you then, under the circumstances, especially with a new U.S. security policy towards the Middle East, who would have thought that, under the heavy Muslim, ideology in the Middle East, that democracy is at all possible? What do you think the role of the religion will play in terms of democratic development, especially in Iran and also in the Middle East at large?
You mean Iran's democracy?
Yes.
I think Iran's democracy is a good beginning, at least that shows that not every people agree with the current government and is more like a little bit extremist Muslim policies, and also insists on developing nuclear facilities, capabilities, and continue to create tensions with the other Middle East country, especially with the Western countries. So I think that if this situation, if cannot be handled safely, it might turn out to be another turmoil in Iran. And since Iran is a big country in the Middle East, that will create another, I think, turmoil situation in the Middle East.
And also around the world in terms of Iran being a very important oil exporting country.
Yes,
this could cause serious adverse impact on the world economy.
But on the other hand, if the Ahmadinejad can continue to proclaim his victories, and the losing side finally decide to accept the situation, well, at least I think that will also put pressure on the current government not to take a more strong policy like it took before to deal with the outside world, also including the United States.
We understand that if we shift the focus in the Middle East a little over onto Israel and Palestine, we understand the very recent statement by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who says that he will support under certain qualifications a Palestinian state in the Middle East. How would you think such a breakthrough, if it's carried out, if it's sincere, how would that change the landscape in the Middle East?
Of course, if his proposal can be implemented, I think certainly we created a peace in the Middle East.
A more lasting peace.
Because we know that the core part of the conflict of the Middle East is coming from the conflict between Israel and Palestine. But so if the Israeli government can accept the statehood of Palestine, of course, he also raised some precondition that the new Palestinian country cannot have defense capabilities and to also admit the survival capability of Israel. So that's a problem. The Palestinian people may not necessarily accept that. But if it can be implemented, I think that certainly that would be a breakthrough and create a more lasting peace in the Middle East.
Yes, and also I believe this new proposal from Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu will be welcome in Washington. How would you think that U.S. policy towards Israel, towards Palestine, would change according to the new development?
I think the Obama administration has shown a more balanced policies towards these two political communities. Of course, as the U.S. president, certainly it will support. He will support 这个 Israel's survivors' rights.
Yes.
But on the other hand, Obama seems to be more sympathetic to the Palestinian situation. He also demanded that Israel should also recognize the rights of Palestinian peoples. And especially, I think he will also like to see that Israel can support the Palestinian people to create a new state for themselves. So Netanyahu's policy, I think, at a certain time is the accommodation to the Obama's expectation,
yes.
And I should be welcomed by the new administration.
Yes, yeah. And for the remainder of this segment, Kaocheng, we understand that domestically in the U.S., the Jewish lobby is a very strong presence in the electoral politics of America. Under the circumstances and the new developments that we just discussed, how would you think that will impact Obama's domestic standing if the policy towards Israel and Palestine didn't really work out as planned?
If it doesn't work out as planned, I think Jewish people will continue to press the Obama administration to support Israel's stance.
From defense all the way to the stance towards Palestine.
Yes, right.
Okay, good. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, where we'll continue this conversation with Professor Wang Gaocheng, Director of the Graduate Institute of Strategic Studies at Tamkang University. We'll be back in 3 minutes.